This is an ephemeral moment in your life, and you're gonna get through, and it's gonna get easier. Like it is. It is. Hello and welcome back to Veggie Magnifique, your go-to for holistic wellness and healthy and happy vegan momming. I'm Anne, a health coach and performer, and I am so happy you're here. So today we're talking about things that I wish I knew before having a baby. And the reason I'm making this video is because I so ardently want to help other future mamas, expectant mamas, because honestly, newborn land totally blindsided me. You know, I did tons of research. That's like how I am, and also I spend a lot of time with kids and babies, but newborn land is a totally different thing. So if this video can help you to avoid some of the blindsiding that I experienced, then it'll be a win. Of course, if you're not pregnant and just came to hang out with me, thank you so much and welcome. So just really quickly before I get started in what I wish I knew, please take a second to subscribe to Veggie Magnifique and also hit the notification bell. That way you won't miss my upcoming content. Also, make sure to check out my recent video on advice for new moms, which I will link because these videos, they kind of go hand in hand. Okay, so let's get into it. First off, if you are breastfeeding, you are going to be so hungry, like you can't imagine. And furthermore, you're going to be hungry now, like now. So definitely make sure that you have snacks everywhere, like by your bed and wherever you breastfeed, like make sure you have snacks there. My husband was so super lovely in the first weeks of like preparing meals for me, and like as is his style, like plating them in like the golden ratio, and they were beautiful. But the man takes his time, and you're hungry at 8 o'clock, and then this beautiful, fantastic meal comes at 8:45, and you already perished. Like you just perished. When you're hungry, you're like hungry now. At least in my experience. Another reason why Meal Train is so great, so definitely sign up for a Meal Train. Next up, make this your mantra. This too shall pass. So my home birth and the new momming phase of like breastfeeding and fatigue were the hardest things that I've ever done. So it's kind of like a poster that you saw in your high school gym class of like, no pain, no gain. And I know it's trite, but both birth and newborn momming for me were filled with pain, like literally. But both of these things were also the most important things I've ever done. Like this is our son, this is our child. He's worth it, right? He's so worth it. So you gotta remember, and what I did, this is what I did. This too shall pass. And again, it might not work for you, but it really reminds you that this is all transient. You know, this is an ephemeral moment in your life, and you're gonna get through, and it's gonna get easier. Like it is. It is. Another bumper sticker, if that one didn't work for you, is challenge is not my enemy. Like you could just decide not to have a baby because you're afraid of the pain, or you're, you know, afraid of the breastfeeding or whatever. But like most of us don't want to be cowards in life. Like we don't want to just live in fear and not do things because of fear. Like we want to be courageous, right? But challenge is not my enemy is another incredibly powerful mantra because it is challenging, right? It is challenging. But like I'm a better person. Like I am a better person because of this challenge. And I now know my own strength. Like I pretended to know my own strength before, like, you know, I thought it was strong. But I mean, I really didn't understand the extent of my strength until I home birthed a child and got through breastfeeding. Like I'm still breastfeeding, but like the newborn breastfeeding, it's different. Speaking of, okay, next up, nap when your baby naps. Yeah, if you have a full-time maid, so this should be retitled, expect that your house is going to be a disaster. Like everything is a trade-off, right? So my advice is this. Know that you're just not going to be able to keep up during the newborn phase. Like I've mentioned this before. Like you either have to be okay with how your house is going to look, or you're going to have to hire it out, or you're gonna have to have a real heart-to-heart with your husband. Actually, that's what you should do. That's what this tip should be. Have a real, like sit down and have a heart-to-heart discussion before baby comes with your husband. And just say like, look, it appears that I'm gonna be a little teensy bit out of it after I give birth and overwhelmed with everything that I went through and am going through and breastfeeding, if you can breastfeed and all this kind of stuff. And like, we just need to talk about the house. Can we hire help? Or do you want to do it? Because I'm not gonna be able to do what it was that I was doing before. Just, you know, for the time being. So back to the whole napping when your baby naps thing. coming full circle. I maybe was able to nap when baby was sleeping, like maybe 5 times. Just like honestly, in the beginning anyway, like nap when your baby naps if you can, because that's a wonderful idea. But as well-meaning as this advice was, and you know, lots of lovely people told this to me, it was also kind of infuriating, and here's why. I wished I could nap when baby was napping, but that everything was just falling apart in my home, and I had to deal with the urgent, and like eat, and then eat some more, and then vacuum and shower. In the beginning, I didn't vacuum. In the first like couple weeks, I didn't do anything because I was like cocooning. But then after that, you know, once you get through that, like I can't move, I just push the human out thing, and you can move, then obviously that's when things get to, baby is napping. I'm going to run around like a crazy person and try to get as much done as humanly possible. So I'm just warning you, you might not be able to nap as much as you want when baby naps. Maybe, but again, that goes back to the whole conversation you're gonna have with your husband or your partner about how you're gonna manage the home and how much, this is important, like how much that really matters to you guys. Next up, you will feel your uterus contracting when you breastfeed in the beginning. It's totally surreal. It's so interesting how like baby latches on and then all of a sudden it's like contracting. It's amazing. Like the body is so amazing. That's so amazing to me. Because obviously you want your uterus to contract after all that. It's not like you want to stay looking pregnant, right? So the body is going to be doing these things. And one of the like signs for your uterus, you know, to contract is nursing, which is just amazing. And not that painful, although a little bit crampy, at least with the first baby. From what I understand, I just have one, but from what I understand, subsequent babies, it's more crampy as this happens because naturally your uterus has already been stretched out previously. So in order to like cinch it back up, it takes more crampage, right? That makes sense. But just expect it. I personally, it wasn't that painful for me, so I just was like, ooh, like that's crazy and great, because you know I wanted it to get back to, you know, to retract. So next up is this transition, this identity crisis that may happen when you have a baby. I didn't expect it to be that insane. So this is hard. So this needs like a whole video or a book or an e-course. Like it's a whole thing. Speaking of books, so just really quickly, if you are a new mom or a mom that's been around the block, I have created an ebook that I'm so excited to share with you. And it is called Optimum Mama Wellness, 12 Keys to More Energy, Enjoyment, and Wholeness. And it is a free ebook, so you can download it below the video. I really hope that you find all the tips helpful. I've been working on this for a while, and I'm so excited about it. So I hope that you love it, and definitely let me know if you do. It's free, just click the link below. Okay, back to the identity crisis. So especially if you're like a millennial, I'm a zennial technically, right? So I had a tech-free childhood and a tech adolescence, so that puts me in an unusual spot. But I have a lot of millennial traits in that your vision of yourself in terms of whether you work or not and who are you, and like just those deep existential musings and questions. When you have a baby, you may feel all the feels from uselessness to boredom to mourning your old self. And I think whether or not you're planning to go back to work after having a baby, I think this is kind of a rite of passage from what I understand. And let me just say, whether you are or aren't planning on going back to work, both of those things are fantastic. You got to do what works for you. There's no shame in wanting to work if you want to or if you have to. I mean, here I am, hello. I love veggie magnifique, so you know, I continue to do it among other things. But there's also, of course, no shame in focusing on the full-time OG profession that is motherhood and homemaking, which is honestly, you know, the noblest of professions and a very, very beautiful, beautiful thing, especially nowadays, because I feel like there's a lot of neglect in that area or judgment in that area. And the juggling of those things is a whole nother thing that I'm working on, because like I work part-time, but then I also mom, and you know, we tag team, and that's like a whole nother video we could talk about. But back to the identity crisis. If you expect it, again, you'll be less blindsided. But let me know if you want me to make a video on that topic. I would enjoy doing that. It would kind of help me to continue to navigate my own personal identity crisis. Next up is the pooch. The pooch. I have mentioned this before. I don't really have much of it anymore. Hi. hallelujah. But for the first like 9 months, I had a pooch. You know what I mean? Like I could not wear my pants. I just had like, and it didn't really bother me that much because I had just had a baby. You know what I mean? I was like, this is normal. My body went through so much. There was a baby in there. It was more annoying in that I had to like wear different clothes and like kind of figure out how to be comfortable. Now I feel great. I feel like the pooch is largely gone. There's still extra flesh because again, you know, voila, this is just real talk here. But at least I feel back to normal for the most part. But then my son's a year now. So in the beginning, just expect a pooch and love that pooch. Next up, another real talk one is just expect to be sore down there. Maybe that goes without saying, but even if you don't tear, and I didn't tear, I was sore. I was sore. It was sore. It was sore. It was sore for a long time. You know, just expect that. Next up is postpartum hair loss. So I thought like, I was like, dude, you know, 3 months in, 3.5, and then bam, like 4 months, all my hair gone. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it was just cascading off of me. So expect that. Sorry, my camera died. So you may not experience hair loss. I just want you to be aware that it could happen. And for me, it was like 3.5, 4 months. So next up is smelly-ness. Like, I'm just gonna say it. Like, I don't know if it's a postpartum thing or like a breastfeeding thing or both, but it's like full on. Like, you just smell. And then since it's hard to find time to shower, like, you do the math. So just keep that in mind. The next up is things are always changing. So a friend told me this, that, you know, certain things get easier and certain things get harder. It balances out, right? Like, not everything gets harder and not everything gets easier, which allows you to sustain, right? Nature, it's fascinating. So just know that things will change and evolve, and something that's currently challenging for you will get easier. There may be regressions happening with sleep or whatever that might throw you off, but fortunately, at least in my experience, they weren't at the same time. And so I was able to manage. Next up, it can take some time to bond with your baby. Maybe this is a weird thing to say, but at least for me, like when baby came out, I was just in such shock and just so ravaged from birth. And then with breastfeeding being difficult, and then like that whole period just being difficult, like bonding with my baby was essentially breastfeeding because he was breastfeeding all the time. And that was so hard and so painful. It's like, it just took a while. And I think that this is common, that when all of these things happen to you, like, you know, your life changes overnight, you know, the identity crisis, the pain, the like everything, it can be somewhat challenging to bond, especially with newborns, because they're not giving as much back, right? Because they're not smiling and laughing. They're just newborns. They're just like, they're cute in their newbornly way, but they're still not like this like cooing, giggly baby that you expect sort of to pop out, right? I mean, maybe you don't, I don't know. But anyway, in the beginning stages, just don't feel bad if like you're not just like, oh, la 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 la, because you're so just like, you know, just saying. And that's my baby. I had more tips, but it's gonna have to be for next time. Thank you so much for tuning into Veggie Magnifique. I hope you're having an amazing day. I appreciate you all. Wishing you the best of luck if you're an expectant mother. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.